So this episode, not much to say,
I
honestly.
I have a shockingly small amount of notes for how many screenshots I took of the episode. 'Cause this episode was
See,
a reaction image factory.
yeah, so this I swear they got like an episode director for this. I
They
haven't
had to
checked
have.
it because it's too particular. The facial expressions suddenly got good. I mean, granted, the animation is still dick, but when they have a close up of someone's face, it's like, oh, they're making a really creative looking expression, and it's like a consistent thing throughout the episode. This episode also has the best cut of animation in the entire show, just randomly in it. When Lamis is like someone opens a door behind her and she's terrified and she like
Yeah, she like
runs
runs all the way
towards the
back.
camera and she gets so close that it's like just her eye. Then she rushes past Hulami with like the dust clouds behind her, and like the way Hulami's hair and clothes are waving in the wind that she's created. That was the most soul this show has ever had in its entire runtime.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of all the various Lamis images. I still don't know which one we're gonna pick for the thumbnail.
Probably the one of her just scared shitless. Cause
Which one? There's so many.
true, to be fair. Uh, Here, I'll just copy and paste it to you in the chat.
Is it the one where she's like
This
got her
one.
hands out?
Yeah, that one.
And
It
now,
is currently sending. Yeah, that one right there.
oh yeah, that's a winner right there. Now just gotta we'll have to figure out by the time this is over. Banger.
There are so many banger
Text.
captions that could go with that face. Let's be real.
I'm trying to go on ANN to see if I can find anything about the episode director, because I feel like you're right. There has to be something. Like something had to have changed in the recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that's persistent throughout the episode is these weird, like, PowerPoint slide. The best way I can describe it is PowerPoint sliding transition, where there's a screen cap and then another screen cap, like, right next to each other, and you, like, Vegas track motion them to swap between one or the other. And it looks really weird and really jarring. And I don't know why that's a persistent directorial tick in this episode,
I
because
feel
it
like that's
looks
just kind of
awkward.
the shorthand for we don't have the talent to actually animate this. Have some camera pans.
Yeah, there's also like one part where Lamis is gripping really hard onto Boxo and the screen turns like bright, like everything just gets color corrected to red. It looked weird. I I'm not sure what was up with that. It seems like a fine idea on paper. I don't think the execution was quite there.
I've checked both ANN and AniList, and I can't find anything in particular about a episode director for episode 11.
Here, I'm trying to get onto the page on
Well,
fucking
you're pulling that up.
ANN.
I have to set
Oh
the
yeah,
scene
they
for the.
just did they not put oh wait, no, that's the light novel. Okay, where's the anime then?
Did
How
you
do I get to
also
the
get
anime page?
spooked by the Lamis jump scare at the very start of the episode?
Lama's jump scare at the very start of the episode.
Where she just screams into the microphone.
No, that did not scare me.
Well, I had my headphones up to 100 volume the night before.
Okay,
And
well that would do it.
And,
that
and I
would do
forgot
it.
to switch it back to my usual 50. So, and speaking of which, I forgot to turn down my headset audio right now. So hopefully you didn't just bleed into my mic for the past few minutes. Yeah, no, she yelled really loud into the microphone when my volume was at 100. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Her pupils also like split apart in this screen cap, which is I
So
thought
we can
looked
file
really
that under the
nice.
unusual pupils tag. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
use as evidence
all right.
for
Listen,
putting an
R
ultra nut.
34 artists, come on, get on this. All right, we need more art for R 34 Lamis.
We've only got one more week. We need to. We still gotta commission the best vending machine isekai hentai.
We say as if we're actually going to commission it.
If we actually were committed to the bid, the unfortunate thing is we have nowhere to share it on here, and no way to like put it on our social medias without having people being like, "Hey, yo, what the fuck?"
Okay, yeah, I'm checking A and N right now. The staff list is not extremely complete. Wow, I wonder why people wouldn't be particularly interested in the staff of vending machine isekai. I can't believe it. They aren't
I
keeping
all right. Let
careful
me let me
track of
do
peak.
one quick YouTube search so I can say this with the utmost confidence. So I'm typing in vending machine isekai. Mostly it's coming up are trailers and Crunchyroll clips, and some Brandon reviews.
When do we appear?
When do we appear? Not at the top, sadly.
That is despicable, deplorable even.
But I'm because I searched in vending machine isekai and I'm already still getting recommended shit like One Room Hero, what the fuck is what's the name of this one? Rhapsody of the whatever the fuck the we have accepted mediocrity.
Oh,
Death March.
Parallel world, Death March to the
Death March.
Parallel World Rhapsody.
Yeah, I'm getting recommended clips of that for vending machine isekai. So I am very confident that we are the most dedicated vending machine isekai channel on the internet. Like of all the avenues of which to talk about vending machine isekai online, I feel like we are the go-to most dedicated. Like we are the vending machine isekai guys on the web. I'll make that claim.
Literally, we've probably already talked about the show longer than it will be long. Like, longer than its entire runtime.
God,
which is sad in a way, but
I
at the same time funny.
You can't call yourself an isekai fan until you see Reborn as a Vending Machine, episode 6. Laughing crying emoji says AH Brandon reviews.
Who would want to call themselves an isekai fan? Does that... I just feel bad if you call yourself that, honestly.
And then those fucking like anime recap channels where they just have like the plots and not brief plot pitches of the show in their titles. This one's just wrong. Reborn as useless vending machine, he uses snacks to tame god-level characters. First of all, he's the opposite of useless. He's always consistently the most capable person in any room that he's in. Second of all, tame god-level characters. None of these characters are like overpowered.
I mean, I get you could like almost begin to make a case for Lamis with her super strength, but I wouldn't call
it gets balanced out because she can't hit for shit.
Yeah, it's just.
And I'm pretty confident if every member of her party jumped her, she'd die.
Yeah, probably. Although I do wonder if you're an anime recap channel, what is there to recap in this episode specifically? Because nothing happens. I mean, we did go to another layer of the stratum,
and it is visually distinct. Thank God, it's not visually, too interesting to look at, but at least it's distinct and not just a boring ass maze in a wasteland.
Yeah, this is like by default better than like any episode in the maze because it's not in the maze. Well, okay, maybe not every episode in the maze, because episode 8, I think, had that interesting bit of characterization for Boxo. Interesting-ish. Nothing in this show is actually interesting. But, like, every other episode in the maze, it is by default better than, because the backgrounds actually have things in them. Who'd have thunk it? They're basically in...
graveyard level.
Crusty Walmart Halloween Town.
Yeah, they're at your local Kmart.
and they go to like this hotel, and there's like this lady who's uh I'm not sure exactly what she is. She's clearly paranormal on some level because she can just teleport in front of Boxo out of nowhere. But, she looks like just a very creepy looking
They
human.
put a goth girl in vending machine isekai. I never doubted peak for a second.
Admittedly, the first thing I thought whenever she appeared on screen was, "Oh, she's cute."
She has that little strand of hair that's always in her mouth.
Yeah, that's adorable. She she's one of the cuter character designs in the show. But like, okay, granted, I never would have expected vending machine isekai to have good atmosphere, but for this stratum in particular, it's kind of killing me inside that there's no like atmospheric-ish like introduction to it where we get a sense of how gloomy it is and
We
maybe
don't
some
have time
cool
for that, Crunchy.
Halloween-y
We need to
stuff.
pump out 10 different reaction images for Lamis for you to use in your next video.
I mean, yeah, those were the most enjoyable part of the episode consistently. But like the the reactions would hit harder if you just set up that cool atmosphere and understand more why she's scared. And it'd get you invested in the stratum because it feels spooky and Halloweeny. Honestly, I think they should have just straight up gone like full Halloween Town with this stratum. That would be very enjoyable. But hey, I always have Soul Eater. It's okay.
Yeah, so Lamis, we don't understand why. I'd imagine this probably will come up in the finale next week, where we'll understand why she has such particular fears of all this spooky stuff, even though
Really,
she could
I,
face
I
down
ex-
something.
honestly, I don't think it's gonna come back because this is like just a generic anime trope. I was my first thought was, oh, it's the thing where the girl is really
Well,
scared of
there has to be
monsters.
something like, because what it wouldn't make sense for
The
Lamis
explanation
to
is
be
that
like.
she's a cute girl, so therefore, I mean, one of them
Okay,
was
well, all
gonna be
right.
afraid of
Counterpoint:
monsters,
Hulami is a cuter girl, and she's not afraid of no ghosts.
but it's the trope. It's the thing.
Yeah, but why can she face down flaming skeleton Satan giant and
Because
not
that's
be
the
terrified?
okay. I need to put this in parentheses. That's the joke.
That's not funny though. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it isn't.
It's kind
That's
of.
it's not
I
a funny joke.
I only
That's
get
why
amusement of
that's
seeing the funny faces, but like it's not an endearing
that's
character
why
trait.
it's a bad trope. Like you're saying it's not an
But
endearing character
well,
trait as if
Hulami,
that proves anything.
I'm saying
It's
that's gonna
vending
come
machine
back.
isekai.
I'm
I don't.
saying that's gonna come back because Hulami, like the narrative and Hulami are putting such an emphasis on it, and they're being like, all right, you have to get over it. That there has to be some explanation. I
think
don't
there
expect
will
it to
be.
be a very good one, but I expect there to be an explanation for
I think
this.
the explanation is just gonna be it's a trope and she's a girl.
No, I feel like it's just gonna be some backstory thing. It's gonna be very basic, but there has to be something.
I guess we'll see who's right when the final episode of Vending Machine Isekai comes out. The great crunchy and neon debate. Will there be a backstory explaining it?
This will be more
This is
heated
why
than
you watch this
Sangatsu.
podcast weekly. Oh yeah, more intense than the Sangatsu debate.
So yeah, Lamis has been trying to overcome her fears to some success. She can't do anything without Boxo on her back, though. It seems like they're really trying. This is where they're really, for the first time, kind of like pushing the Lamis X Boxo ship.
Yeah.
Like
Kinda. I mean,
they
there
don't make
are
any like
okay,
overtly
granted,
romantic suggestions, but they're definitely being like, Lamis like needs Boxo to function, at least in like very stressful, uncomfortable situations.
to be fair, the shot of Lamis like clinging on to Boxo really tightly while shivering, that was actually
God, I
kind of
wish it
adorable.
were me. It should have been me, not him.
It should have been me too. Yeah, that was cute. It was doing a little something for me, but like seeing Lamis it's the same thing for like 90% of the episode. Lamis is scared. We get to see her be scared. At least the faces are enjoyable, but in terms of the humor, storytelling, really anything else, it's just not there. By the way, this episode is okay, well, it has some good bits of directing, obviously, with the emphasis on faces. But, like, during the first part of the episode where they're all talking about what the stratum is like, it's like the most there are like some outright stilted shots in this episode that just look really,
There was one
really
shot in
bizarrely
particular that
amateur.
like mostly the flat uninspired directing just kind of like becomes white noise after a while. It just rolls off my back. But there was one shot in particular that was so horrendous. It was I think after the first time Lamis is walking out with in the village with Boxer on her back, and she gets back. It's like, oh, okay, all right, guys, I'm a little more, pumped. I'm a little more down for this mission now. And like at the first shot is where she's like bowing her head towards the camera, like facing straight on. But then it like in the very next shot, she's positioned back and to the left in like a really
That's
awkward
the
cut, and she's like
exact
facing
shot I
diagonally.
was gonna bring up. It was
Yeah.
so jarring.
It's like so weird. Like, why would you
It's
do
like,
that?
I would have expected her to be like more towards like the center right of the screen, facing the other direction, like opposite to where she was
I'll
facing
take
in the
framing
actual
for
shot.
200, Alex.
And, like all the other characters are like framed. Literally invert the shot, like turn it sideways horizontally. There you go. You've got a better version of the shot. But like even in the very first like dialogue scene of the episode, there's this one panning shot where Hulami's talking, right? She's the focus of the shot. She's the person you're supposed to be looking at within the crowd. But by the end of the panning shot, she's like basically off screen. She is like at the very edge of the screen, about to go off of it. She's still talking. She's still the focus of the shot. Like, I'm like, can't you put her a little more towards the center? I get you gotta have your soulless panning shots, but like, make them pan properly. Their shots still need to have a focus, and that focus still needs to be the person who's talking, ideally,
Dude,
unless there's a reason for them not to be.
even at like the very end of the episode where they're having the big toast before they go out on their mission to hunt down the stratum boss, the king of souls, and they're having a toast around the dinner table. You would think, because it ends up being one of those like still shots with like a different shading, and Boxer having the narration being like, oh man, I wish we could do more fun things like this like in the future. You'd think it'd be the time to be like, okay, you don't have to animate this shot, but you can make it like nicely detailed, nicely shaded, it's the final shot of the episode before the credits roll, so have it stick out in the audience's mind, be like, oh, okay, that's a nice drawing. They're all low effort, low detail models. And the camera's like pulled way back, so there's like more room than there should be. It's
Yeah, it's like that Twitter account, low res anime characters, but whereas sometimes they look like cutely dorky, they're like all off model and blobby and incoherent.
yeah, and it's sad. I mean, we're too far deep. We're in episode 11. The production schedule has been like they're working they're stringing these storyboards together with like limp noodles and worn out shoelaces.
Neon, this is a random comment, but I just have to comment on this. I've finally gotten you to start blaming the schedule, and that is my proudest achievement in influencing you.
I mean, I'm sure also the production probably sucked ass too.
Well, the schedule being shit is the production sucking ass. That
Well, I'm also not entirely convinced that the fellows over at Gokumi and Axis are, the cream of the crop, the top tier
director
of their
certainly
trade.
is not especially competent. Even the episode director that I'm still sure was enlisted for this episode, or at the very least someone's influence, got all those Lamis shots in there. Maybe it was like a freelance animator that got a bunch of cuts for this episode specifically because they were like in town. something like that. Like even this episode isn't well directed, you know, even though it has more soul than all the other episodes of the show. It's just still not that good looking. Like to be TBH. Like it's
Yeah.
still animated like garbage, obviously, but we're used to that at that point.
And they're gearing up. We're gearing up for the finale now. We're assembled the fucking Tasmanian Devils and the hero guy, Mishul. We've got our event. We're assembling the Avengers Endgame cast of Vending Machine Isekai so we could take on the Stratum boss. And the teaser next time shows Boxo turning into a med kit. So I'm hoping there's no way that's gonna be like really gory. I'm hoping Lamis gets a fucking serious fatal wound that has to be like treated. Well, imagine if the show goes like weird grimdark. All of a sudden, we get like a Made in
Okay,
Abyss
hold on.
Rico
On that
level.
note, why did they kill a child in this episode? What was the point of that?
No. Not even that. Not even that. Why did they kill it twice? Because it's a child zombie, which means it died as a child. Either they call it a corpse fiend, so either that implies it's a zombie that was born, so like it's just like it was born a child zombie, or it's a zombie of a child that was once living and is just now a zombie.
So, for some context for the viewers at home, in this episode there's this zombie child and it wants to vend. All he wants to do in life is vend. He comes to Boxo every night and get some orange juice
Get
and
some
bites into
dank
the bottle.
oj, a nice bottle
Yeah.
of OJ.
Yeah, and so Boxo and the zombie have this sort of like friendship going on, of Boxo being like, "Ah, this cute little
Hey,
zombie
he
child.
ain't doing no
I'm gonna give
harm.
him
I'll give
food."
him a little
Yeah.
treat. He don't know no better.
But then one of the people in the Menagerie of Fools, one of the background characters, just kills the child. And Boxo is mad for a bit, and then it does not affect anything else in the rest of the episode. And I'm like,
What was the
but
point?
why? Why did we kill the child? Like for a second, that got me like eyes wide, paying attention. Like, oh, this might actually go somewhere. But then it
the
didn't.
show definitely snapped my attention for because I had thought that Boxer it was gonna be business as usual. Boxer being like, "Wait, no, don't kill him," and then they were gonna stop him like, "Hey, Boxer, WTF, bro? It's a monster."
Yeah, that's what I thought it'd
you
be.
know him, but no, he drives the spear through his fucking head, turns him to dust, and then even like to pile on the sadness, he was clutching a wrapper of the OJ and holding a 1 copper coin. That because he was like he's made the comment that he saw all the other guys put money in Boxo to get food, so he's like, "Oh, is that how it works? I will put coin in machine and get OJ." And even though it was a copper coin, it couldn't even afford shit. He was too much of a broke bitch as a zombie, but he just died wanting to buy some OJ. He wanted to get that Sunny D.
I know I'm not supposed to think about this because it's vending machine isekai, but how much intelligence do these corpse fiends have? Is it ethical to kill them? They can clearly recognize patterns and then act on them. They can form attachments. Like they seem kind of alive and aware. They're not completely mindless.
Well, Crunchy, that this is the genius of Peak that we failed to comprehend this whole time. Actually, what they're building up to is that every single monster they've killed up to this point has in fact been sentient and just lacked communication skills. They just never learned how to communicate like Boxo can.
You know what? Episode 12, it's going to be grim dark. Every character is going to realize the blood on their hands. It's going to be a story about
Lamis
guilt
is
and
gonna
redemption.
get a fucking what was it called? That lion orbiter, that piercing orb guy lion. Get Spike jammed in her arm, and Boxo and the gang gonna have to like fucking break her arm and stop the poison, cut it off.
Oh, from Maiden Abyss. It took me a long time to figure out what you were talking about.
They're gonna recreate
Yeah, they're gonna have to
Rico
amputate
scene.
their. It's gonna be like the Rico scene, but this time they actually amputate the arm.
That would go hard.
That would instantly raise the show's score like
I
2 or 3 points.
I would it also raise the score if there's literally no chance they will, even with Boxo turning into a med kit dispensary. I doubt I'm rubbing my crystal ball right now. Lamis is at worst gonna get like a scratch to her gut, like maybe her side, and she's gonna be bleeding like more than usual, but she's gonna be fine. I doubt it'll even leave a
Instead of
scar.
no blood, there will be mild amounts of blood, and then they'll heal the wound.
Yeah, she's gonna bleed like because there's blood with the frog monsters from way back when, but I feel like Lamis is gonna bleed like somewhat. It's not profusely, but she's gonna bleed
A
enough.
little bit. Yeah, and it'll be our kind of emotional-ish finale. And the two fans of this show will start bawling, and we'll be there like, yeah, that was
It's so
that
sad
was
to think that
okay.
someone would cry over vending machine isekai
I mean,
over the
statistically, it
narrative.
has to have happened.
But
There,
I don't.
albeit
Can we track
there's a
down the
chance it was
person
from
who did
pain.
that and then bully them relentlessly? Can we sick our audience on that person?
Audience responsibility? What's that? Bully all the fans of this show.
Yes, please. It's what they deserve it. The fact that this show got made means that there was not enough bullying in that writer's generation, specifically towards him.
So what do we want to give this episode in terms of like score and the overall ranking? Because
I'd throw it
I've been
squarely
keeping a
somewhere in the middle,
ranking.
maybe upper half, because it was
Uh,
mildly amusing.
I actually put it in the lower half, and the reason why is because it felt, although it is a new location, and that instantly saves it from being at like the very bottom. I mean, if this same plot took place in the maze, it would be instantly like that much worse because we're in the maze. But like, not a whole lot happened in this episode. It might it's around the same quality as episode 2 to me. And
I feel like this episode's a little better than two.
well, episode 2 at least had the kind of fun finale, albeit, the logic is dumb, but like it's still fun-ish. And I don't think this episode really has an equivalent to that.
I would say it's like hovering between episodes like 1 and 8.
Between 1 and 8?
I don't know.
Okay, so
But
hold on.
yes,
Where do you did you end up putting episode 10 above episode 1?
yes, I did.
Okay. So I had episode 10 like right below episode 1.
Oh, actually, no,
Uh
no. Actually, I'm looking at my list right now, and I just realized I have episode 1 listed twice for some reason. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
huh.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, yeah. Well, whoopsie doodles. Okay, around episode 8 is what I
See,
meant to
the
say.
issue with this episode is that it's just like nothing happened. Like even episodes like 5 with like the chains restaurant and episode 10, like even episode 10 in the eating contest. I liked the eating contest more than most of this episode. Like every time a funny Lamis face would appear on screen, my enjoyment would peak for that single shot, and then it would immediately go back down to I am just mildly bored.
I got a lot of ironic enjoyment about the zombie child subplot that ultimately meant nothing.
I did not get I can't really enjoy that ironically. It was like sincere for 5 seconds.
I
Then
well,
I
yeah,
realized
that's
it
why
was
it's
going
hilarious.
nowhere.
It was sincere
And
for 5 seconds,
it
and
is
then they
funny.
do nothing with it. So now every time I think back on it, I'm gonna laugh, thinking that they just wanted to kill a
True.
child on screen.
True, that is true.
Granted, they killed it in like the most inoffensive way possible. It's just it was a
For a
monster
second,
child.
to
She
put
just
this into perspective, I did not know they killed it for a second. I had to be like, wait, did they kill it? Hold on, it just there wasn't
it's
any
the most
blood or anything.
emotional Boxo ever gets. Like he screams his no phrase.
I guess I'd put it like just barely above episode 2. Just because the first like half of episode 2 is so soulless and so unenjoyable, whereas this is like at least Lamis is afraid, at least that's something, but it's not very good. I'd give
Uh,
this like around a 4 out of 10.
yeah.
And
Well,
with that,
next
let's gear up for
next
the
we've
finale.
only got one left. One week remains.
And who knows, maybe I'll be the one to draw the Lamis and Boxo ship.
he just
It'll take I'll spend
just
like
draw the most
5 hours on my magnum opus.
he just draw the crudest Lamis inside of like stuck inside of Boxo.
I mean, hey, that one shot of Lamis hugging Boxo in episode 4, with her tits pressed against him because it's like a POV shot. Uh, yeah, I could use that as a reference. There we go. She's like inside of him. So, see you next week.